Yes, people, welcome back to the Nick and Dan podcast. World Cup madness, World Cup reaction. Brazil bounced back. The three big dogs from the CONCACAF, the three hosts currently hosting this World Cup for the global stage. You're talking about Canada, Mexico, and US men's national team. They are looking forward for the run of 32, but there's still a bit of room, left back for the US team, to fill up as well. Looking forward to close out the group, versus Turkey at Group D. Looking to close out so they can get that top spot and favorite position going into the knockout round. We see Mexico as well, over there in that was in I think was in Guadalajara, doing some things as well in their group, beating South Korea the other night, where they will be top spot in their group as well. Looking forward for those two extra games will be played in Mexico, so they can even bounce a bit forward and the challenge, the teams that's coming up and them as well. And Canada, big win for Canada. They're looking much bright at this moment of round of 32 is well inside after, a first blip in match day one versus Bosnia, but they really took it to pace of beating that Qatar team, beat them down badly. Jonathan David, the man with the history books again for the Canadian national team, all-time leading scorer doing it big versus Qatar. Julian Lopetegui, looking very much frustrated in that game. As me say, two, teams already out, 80 man. So sad that 80 is what that first team to be eliminated from the World Cup, from the Caribbean region. The only Caribbean team to play in multiple World Cup as well, 1974, and this current one. I think the Asian fans must be proud, of themselves as well. But we're going to react to some of the best teams, around each continent and what they're doing, in the World Cup, so far. So me and Daniel, we're going to get into it and get into some discussion as well. Some of the big favorites going into it. Can the CONBAL team win it? Can the CONCACAF team challenge the big boys in Europe? Africa is looking much bright and sharp as well. Looking the Moroccan team, Ivory Coast joining the party. The Senegal team is yet to really get off the mark. Their game is coming up as well. So much going to get into it. Some star players, talking about, Saibari from Morocco, some stars of African football, Yandi Amande, looking much bright as he's that guy. No one really yet to talk about Sadio Mane, the star of Senegal as well, talking about South America, the highly global superstar Lionel Messi, Vinicius Jr. joining the party. Europe, Erling Haaland is on top of the bunch as well. Yeah, so where you stand, man, around the World Cup at this time, we are heading into we already headed to match day one, the return of the groups, and we are headed to match day two, I must say. We see the Germany group will play, Ivory Coast as well. That group will kicks off today, little later from now. So Netherlands first game, Germany, Ivory Coast, that's going to be a big one. That's going to be a big one. And I've heard some tactical talking around. They want to switch Jan Diamande and Joshua Kimmich, and the weaker line for Germany team. So we're going to get into that discussion. And also Ecuador will play Curacao. Can they get off the mark after, a thumping 1-0 victory over Ivory Coast over Ecuador, and then the last game start at noon my time on the Eastern time zone. Tunisia versus Japan. We're going to get into discussion around the Japanese as well of one of the strong team to go far in around the Asian continent. But yeah, man, what says you about all of this World Cup dramas, the reaction so far?
Yeah, I've been very impressed with the African teams. I know you said Morocco. I think Morocco have definitely been one of those teams where very good to watch on the eye. You get what I'm saying? I've been watching their games, been watching how they've been playing their football. You get what I'm saying? And the Asian team have been very impressive too. You get what I'm saying? I think the African and the Asian team have really stole the show so far going into the second match. You get what I'm saying? Morocco won the game. You get what I'm saying? I know I'm a big fan of Japan. We didn't want to see what Japan gonna be offering also later in the day. But I heard a commentator said that yesterday again the game against Scotland. The commentator said, "Yo, it was very impressive against Scotland, but they're playing one of the favorites to win the World Cup." So I was like, "Whoa, they do have Morocco as one of those teams to win the World Cup." But Brazil, I mean, they beat 80, wasn't convincingly. I know it's 80. And the 80ans, they have to be very proud. You know what I'm saying? First time. Is this their first World Cup, or this is the
Second.
second time in the World Cup in these years? But they have knocked out. I was very disappointed with Turkey. My God, man, the Turkey, the Turkey, yeah, these guys are really, really, really. I've no I watched two of their game so far. I've streamed the game, watched their game, and I just don't know what they are trying to do. But yeah, we're here to discuss and go in more details with the games and stuff.
Yeah. Looking much forward. Where you want to start? You want to start off with the regional boys. Canada, Mexico, and US, since they're right on
Yeah, let's
top.
start off with the
You know,
host, the host
yeah,
that
with the
host.
hosts. So we look at Mexico. Wasn't I think it was a much better performance than what we saw versus South Africa in the opening day of the World Cup. But I think the best of South Korea, got the better of the Mexican team as well. It pushed them off, even try to play a lot more better, try to be a lot more compact. And you see, in that game, the Mexican team, they sit back, they allow the Korean with the ball, they said, listen, break us down, come at us. And then, they try to play the transition game, and then they try to play the front foot game of aggressive pressing. That was first phase of the game, trying to get at the team. But I think that didn't work really well as the Korean team, find gaps behind this Mexican team so many times. But they got the win. They're on top of Group A. Their next game will be against Czechia. Looking at Canada, where massive, massive, massive turnaround versus Qatar. That red card would have messed up the game as well. For Qatar, yes, they smashed them a piece. They're looking much very impressive. Tie and 4 points with Switzerland, and then the US men's national team. Very strange 2-0 victory. Very strange second half of them as well. I don't know what they were trying to do in that second half, but all you sums up, both the sums up the host nations, the three teams that's in the CONCACAF region.
Yeah, I'm gonna start off with Mexico. Mexico have won, beat South Korea in the second game. I think they kind of look very timid. You get what I'm saying? They got that goal by the mistake from the goalkeeper from South Korea, and they for the rest of the most of the game they were just trying to hold out for the win. You get what I'm saying? It wasn't convincing with them. The football was very slow. Very pedestrian. You get what I'm saying? I know South Korea is a team that can keep the ball very
Yeah.
good, and you get what I'm saying. But I think that if Mexico really gonna have to improve when they go to the knockout stage, because I don't think that's so pedestrian football is gonna work against very better opposition. You know what I'm saying? The fans were booing at halftime. You get what I'm saying? So they have to really improve. I know 2 wins out of 2. They're gonna top the group. You get what I'm saying? So they should get a favor draw in the next round of 32, but they have to improve. Canada was very better. You get my I mean it's a lot very below par Qatar team, you get what I'm saying, was playing with 9 man done. So it was very easy and high. They got one of their most important player got injured, probably gonna
Yeah.
be out for the rest of the
Coney.
tournament. So they were very, very good. You can beat who's in front of you, you get what I'm saying? And Jonathan David finally able to get on the score sheet, score a hat trick. You get
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
First
And
time in the history of the
um,
World Cup.
they're able to still don't have to play what's his name, Davis. So you get what I'm saying? So he's still recovering. You get what I'm saying? And
I think
USA
they
is
I think they're resting him for the run of 32. I think they're
yeah,
much
and
resting him,
so
trying to get
yeah,
in
that's
really top shape.
yeah. And then the US, you get what I'm saying? That game was very strange. You get what I'm saying? I feel like what affect USA in that game, no Pulisic, because so everything go through
Yeah.
Pulisic, and I feel like the last minute tactical change after bringing someone different, and You get what I'm saying? And that was a very competitive game. Australia was trying, they was
Yeah,
trying, they were trying. You get what I'm saying? So the US just able to pull through with better quality up top, and you get what I'm saying. First goal for Freeman come off the
yeah.
bench, score a good goal. You get what I'm saying? Everybody was happy for him, but out of all the three O's, I'm very much convinced with the US can go much further, but Canada and Mexico are really gonna have to improve.
Yeah, so what I've seen, Avi Aguirre, made a few tactical tweak. We know the Montes received that red card versus South Africa, and he plugged in Edson Alvarez. He skipped the team as well. I think that was his 100th game for his beloved national team as well. We've seen Luis Romo, one of the past regular member in around different coaches' plan. You saw him get plugged in as well. He came in for Fidalgo, and I think it was a bit different. The dynamics was different. And you're talking about the man from Chiefs Guadalajara, playing around in home territories as well. Brian Gutierrez. I think it was a much impressive game as well for him. Back to back game, playing well, for the L3 in the World Cup. And I just think QNS, wide out on that left hand side, he wasn't really get into the game as the team. I don't know why the team don't try to play, through QNS, much more. You look at Alvarado on the right hand side where he got a lot of the opportunities, to go 1v1. And I've seen many times during that game versus South Korea, QNS get so many opportunities, just to free him up and allow him to go 1v1 versus a South Korea right back. But, they allowed not to really give him. But again, steady, very solid, impressive run from him as well. So I just think the Mexican, did everything in that game just to get that 3 points, and it was just enough. Youngmin's son, again, I don't know, man. We keep talking about him playing as a center forward. It's just maybe not working out so far for South Korea. Again, I didn't really see him much in the game like we saw him in that first game versus Czechia in the first half. So I just think that something needs to be done around the South Korea team. But the patient build up and the way how they're customizing their way on the pitch of the channels, farming the triangles, farming the box. I think that even one point the Korean team was trying to get the Mexican fans out of the game by frustrate them, allow them to boo, allow them to get on top of their team of attack. That's what the South Korean want, someone to come out and press. But the Mexican were so defensively solid and patient, and when they attack, when they press, and when they really sit back. So I just think Korea going into their last game versus South Africa is going to have to be good, because you expect South Africa would probably bring a lot of physicality threat as well. And I think they had a better game as well. The South African team versus Czechia. Both wide men slightly better in that game. So Korea have something to think about. The Canadian team as well. Looking at it, where Kyle Larin, getting the nod as well after he benched that first game versus Bosnia. He got the nod, he scored as well. But, Ishmael Kone, I mean, that's something that you don't want to wish on any player. Think it happened like 10, 15 minutes after the second half started. And it wasn't the most aggressive tackle. You get what I'm saying? It wasn't the most aggressive tackle. And the Canadian team, I think Buchanan, really had a better game. He had a better game than what he did previously versus the Bosnian team. And David, he just took his opportunity. And that's what the fans were asking, from him in that first game. He could have either scored a trick against Bosnia if he took his opportunities. But again, sometimes it's just not your day. And to see the season that he's coming off at Juventus, he needed these goals. He's the all-time leading scorer for Canada, and for him to score 3 goals, amongst Canada best result in a World Cup game so far. It goes back to when they're in Qatar, didn't win a game. Goes back to way back, probably 30 years, 40 years ago when they're in the World Cup as well. So best possible option. And I think that I saw some clips online where Jesse Marsh, was talking to the team during the halftime break versus Bosnia, and also this game that just finished, the Qatar game. And he keep on emphasizing on attack, play with speed. We have players that can come off the bench and can, come out and keep up that momentum. So we know all this Canada team, really can play attacking football, play with a lot of energy, play with more intensity, and that's how they will be dangerous. And I think they were looking really sharp, and the crowd, the fans in the stadium were backing them. So I think they're going to need that as well. So, it's going to be very important going into that last game versus Switzerland. If they can get a point, they will tap the zone, and then they will get the other two extra games, favored in their way to play in the round of 32 and the round of 30 and round of 32 and round of 16 as well. So that is my real fair share assessment, on the CONCACAF teams, so far. But you're talking about Haiti, they will be out of the World Cup. They have one game left back, and so sadly that that last game, match day 3, they cannot punch any way close to the run of 32. So they will bite the dust moving forward. And Curacao, it's all on them, today. It's all on Curacao today versus Ecuador. If they cannot get a point, they will punch their ticket and exit out of the group already. So that's it, with some of the roundups of what is happening in the regional as well. And Panama got beaten as well, versus Ghana. I don't know what Panama was trying to do. I think Panama was trying to fight with Ghana on a pitch who can be physical, who can be the fastest. I don't know what they're really trying to do, but they missed that
Yeah.
Carrasquilla in the midfield. I just think tactically, on the ball, technicality, on the ball, I think with the ball at their feet, they were poor, out of shape, they were poor. They're just all over the place. I don't know what
I
was
was
really
I
happening in that
was
game between them and Ghana.
I was watching that game, and at some point in the game, I was like, "My God, the quality of this game was so
So
poor."
poor. Yeah.
And then Ghana just Ghana a little bit of quality in the end came over, and they able to get that goal. But the quality in that game was very poor. I don't know. This is the first time I ever watched Panama, and they were so disappointed. You get what I'm saying? I know they're normally able to pass the ball and they're able to
Yeah.
be a little bit better. I don't know
More
what happened
refined.
to them. Yeah, I don't know what happened to that. I think they got caught up into that physical game and
Yeah. It was
lose
so
the
physical. It
yeah.
was so
You get what I'm
physical.
saying? A lot of
Yeah.
fouls. You get what I'm saying? A lot of complaining to the ref. So I think they got caught up into that and lost their identity. And Ghana just quality wise just show up in the end, and you get what I'm saying. So I was very disappointed with Panama.
Yeah.
And also I'm gonna go back on Curacao. Curacao have a very good chance today. Not to I don't think that's a straightforward win for Ecuador. We see what Curacao can did, what they did against Germany. I know Germany is out of their class, you get what I'm saying? But if they can do something at least 50% of what they did against Germany in the open first half, they do have a chance, because I think that you can get at this Ecuador team. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But cool, good luck to them.
Yeah. So I didn't see Carrasquilla, the midfield maestro for Panama played in that game. I know leading up to this tournament, you have some slight little fitness issue, so I don't know why Thomas Christensen didn't play him as well. So, and Panama, they're struggling with a number 9. You could see Blackman started that game, and I don't know what Blackman was doing up front. You seen, I think Fajardo came off the bench, Ishmael Diaz came off the bench, two of the big guns that played very well in the last World Cup as well, were excellent for them during that campaign. So let's see if they can really get anything, which I'm not sure, coming up against Croatia and England in the next game. Yeah. So let's leave that one right there. You know what I'm saying? But talking about CAF, I want to touch more on the African region where Morocco is one win and a draw beating Scotland. They should have at least have 3 goals going to that first half as well, where the Moroccan team just look way better than the Scottish team. You're talking about the pressing machine of the Moroccans. The midfield, I think their midfield was a bit dull moments in that first half, but they really came to the party in the second half to dig deep, get on the ball. I think when they get opportunity to drive into the Scotland half, they did so as well. But I think it was much of a brace of what this team, can do. And I just think at times the Moroccan teams, sit back and trying to take a bit of break, trying to, get themselves back up to, the stamina pace of, look, you cannot go 90 minutes, with running just like that, so they have to take a break. And then the Scotland team never really take advantage of that. And the Moroccan team, like really surprised, like, who in this group really going to match us and give us something to to think about. Yeah, again, what's his name? Riyad, the centre back, and the Fulham Diop as well. Both defenders coming out of those two games versus Brazil and Scotland really scratch free of no real competitiveness enough one of those strikers. I think Che Adams was very poor. Thiago was very poor, in those two games as well. So what's your takes, man? Morocco, we don't know that, Ghana got that late winner, in Canada versus, we just talk about that with them and Panama. But Semenyo, Man City, man, he was looking a touch of above everyone, in that game. And I just think at some point, the level of where the football game was at during that time, it kind of, bring him down to that level where he made some very good runs and he gave Andre Ayu the ball, and it's like he cannot get back the ball. Jordan Ayu, I must say, he gave Jordan Ayu so many channel pass, and to give it back, and he just cannot receive back the ball when he played very good passes. You get what I'm saying? And I think Thomas Ashanti and also Fatau, really came on and bring some real energy to the game and a bit of, change of pace, running into the channels, running into the space as well, taking on players 1v1, especially Fatau over on that right hand side. So I just think that changes really bring a bit of a creative element around the Ghanaian team. And I just think it was just probably a moment of time because they were knocking on the door. They were getting into the box of the Panamanian team. And they really had moments where they at least could have get a goal early in that second half. But they found out way late, and it's Amad Diallo. Not Amad. I mean, keep on mixing up that Amad Diallo, Ivory Coast, and Ghana, but it was the midfielder, that dreaded looking guy, number 3, win the game out for them, in the back post as well. But Ivory Coast, let's see if they can continue. They will play Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
understand? So go ahead.
Yeah, on the Morocco game against Scotland, Morocco definitely is one of the top favorites for me. If they can keep up this football, they definitely have a chance. Don't forget this team make it to the last semi-final of the World Cup. Some would say, are they the defending champion of the African Nation Cup? We don't know. You get what I'm saying? But very good team. I think they're playing one of the best football of the tournament so far. You get what I'm saying? Sabari up top, they're gonna be the new Bayern Munich striker. You get what I'm saying? So two brilliant goals, one against Brazil, once against Scotland. You get what I'm saying? But I think that they're gonna have to find a balance between how to do this pressing game, because I feel like if you realize Scotland kind of take over in the last minute because they kind of burned out and they just couldn't able to get on the ball and control the game, because when you're running 100 mph in the first half, you're gonna burn out in the second half. And even when they was trying to bring in some fresh legs, they just still couldn't able to keep out the Scotland team from coming in. But Scotland definitely should have a chance. I think they play who they play in the last game. They play in the last. They play Haiti, right? No, not Haiti. They play. Who Scotland played in the last game? So they should still able to go through. But now they're on mute.
Scotland play Haiti in their last game.
They beat Haiti already.
Who they playing in their next game?
Yeah, their last game.
Brazil. Their next game will be Brazil.
But I think Scotland should definitely able to get through because of they are the one. But I think they definitely can give Brazil a fight for their money. But very impressive with Morocco. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. I think Scotland really gonna have to get McTominay into the game. I was kind of disappointed with Scotland yesterday. Everything that was falling over. They was trying to win a penalty, they was trying to beat the referee, and I don't think they understand that this World Cup, these referees are not playing. They're not playing. Get up. You get what I'm saying? So I think going into the last game should be very excited. And
one thing, looking at that Scotland lineup, I think Ibrahim, Ryan Christie, Kieran Tierney cannot play to that intensity and that level of energy what that Morocco team will ask from them. Ben Gunandok, the former Liverpool academy prodigy, is at Bournemouth at this moment. He had a magnificent game versus Haiti. And what Steve Clark did, he play players in that starting level who can defend. Okay, it's okay, to defend and sit deep, but who is the outlet? Shea Adams, is not the quickest.
Yeah.
Christie is not the quickest. Kieran Tierney, can Kieran Tierney get past, Hakimi? I mean, you're setting up Robertson and Kieran Tierney to deal with what Hakimi can do. He's a fullback. He's a fullback. Robertson supposed to can deal with him with a double team from the winger to help him out. You don't need two fullback over there because you're going
Yeah.
to take away something from the Scottish team.
Attacking
And
wise.
you bench, Shackland, the former arts, striker. That's fine. You're not going with the 4-4-2 anymore. It's like you maybe go with, a 4-5-1 or a 5-4-1. I don't know what Scotland was trying to do in that game. I think Icky, the Brentford right back came off as well. I think Patterson started in that game. So he made a few tweak of adjustment, but you cannot take out your only real outlet player that can bring the ball. Is a good dribbler, Ben Gunn Dog, and it shows that even in the game, he's not that elite of a winger. But when you look at the squad of what they have, you have to play one of those players that can be the outlet, can release some of the shackles. You get what I'm saying? By running with the ball, try to push back, Mazwari. But I just think Mazwari and Hakimi, it was a very good game, from them defensively, because there's no
Yeah.
real attacking threat coming from, either fullbacks of Patterson or Roberts in that first half. You get what I'm saying? So I think Steve Clark really did some bad changes and some bad decisions, into that Scotland team. And I really think that, the Moroccan team should have punished them. But going forward, if the Moroccan team going to meet teams like Scotland that's going to come and throw the white towel in and just defend deep, when you create those opportunities, El Canous was magnificent on that left hand. He was magnificent. Brahim Diaz again played a bit more longer. He was okay in the game. He had some bright sparks. He slid some bars to the channels as well. But just thinking of the missed opportunities for Morocco, in that first half, where I think they should have killed that game from the first 45 minutes. Going into the run of 32, they're going to have to actually, finish off teams or score 2 goals. Like look what the USA have done in their last 2 games. The US, I think, scored like 5 goals in the first half with that high intensity, with that pressing machine team playing physicality as well. So you have to score more goals in the first half and to kill team up and to give
Yeah.
them a different team talk, going into the first half as well. So I just think that needs to be changed for the Moroccan team moving forward. Looking at, South Africa, one draw and a loss. Do they stand any chance versus South Korea?
Never say never, because what I saw Paraguay did last night against
Turkey.
Turkey, I think anything is possible at this tournament. I'm not writing off nothing. Ecuador played Carousel today. I give Carousel as a full 50-50 chance to get a point, because I have learned my lesson in this tournament. Nothing is impossible. So I am gonna give South Korea 100% chance to get a result, or they can get a result. But you're gonna have South Korea to be favorites, but I am going to give them a chance, because this tournament have teach me a lesson to never say never.
Czechia. What the hell Czechia was doing in that game versus South Korea? How the hell they managed to let South Africa, get a goal in around the 85th minute of that game? It was a penalty as well. I mean, it was a much better team from much better performance from Czechia, from even that first game that they played versus South Korea. I think they're more attacking players did fairly well in that game versus South Africa, and I think they really did deserve. But what happened though? The South Africa team didn't have nothing else to lose but to throw bodies into the box, and I think that's what Scotland was doing. Scotland did where that Southampton striker, I don't remember his name, that tall, lanky striker that came on as well, where they just started to throw people into the box and just throw the ball in the air and just hoping for the best, where there wasn't no real plan of trying to break down the Moroccan team. So I just think if South Korea going to get something from that game, they have to win the game in the first 60 minutes, because if you have these smaller teams, having hope and belief going into the last 20, 50 minutes of the game. They're going to have to throw everybody at the dice. And then it can be any chaos moment. It can be chaotic in the box. And then, something can spill. And then the team get a goal. And then you find yourself drawing a game where you're supposed to be winning. So I think Czechia, the game should be in their hands, and they should be the favorite of getting the best of South Africa. But I'm not going to write out South Africa. I think there's a chance for them as well of how shaky this Czechia team has been, and also the set piece. So South Africa have a lot of big fellas as well on their team. They're much physical as well. They will get back, two of their players that got red card in the first game versus Mexico. So that will be bright opportunity for them. And I think Apollos, the player that benched the first game versus Mexico, he started that game as well. And I think he was a bit of a bright sparks. But let's see, what this team will do. But talking about, African team as well, Senegal will play Norway on Monday, at 8 p.m. Eastern time. That will be around 5 p.m. your time as well, Pacific time. But big Erling Haaland coming up against, Koulibaly and Mendy. What's the chance of the Senegalese team versus the Norwegian team who blank? Who did he play in that game again? I don't remember.
They play against is it Iran or Iraq?
Yeah, they played Iraq and smashed them to pieces. But what's your takes on the Senegal team going into that game versus Norwegian?
I think it's a winner or go home because they lost their first game against France. So I think that they don't have a choice. They have to win. They can. If they don't win that game, they got to get a draw and try to win their last game against Iraq. But they have to win that game because else they're out. You get what I'm saying? But I was very impressive. I was very impressive with them against France in the first half. They could have a couple goals from Jackson, but he was offside. You get what I'm saying? But and then France quality overall take over in the second half. But I think I do give them a chance against this Norway team. I know Norway team is full attacking power up top, but I think they're very good. They're defensively they can give you a chance. You get what I'm saying? And Senegal does have the quality to hurt you. You know what I'm saying? It's just that are they gonna take it? You know
I think it's going to be a big. I think this is probably one of the biggest game this group of players will ever play because their World Cup spot of getting into the knockout round is on the line. You get what I'm saying? So I just think,
and also they came in as one of the favorites from Africa, Morocco, to make it out of their group. So if they don't get any result from this game, it's gonna be a very
I think they need if they cannot win, it's at least should be a draw that will give them a game going into the last game versus Iraq. And you see Senegal getting the best of Iraq as well, especially if you draw that game versus Norway coming up on Monday, right? You should at least get 3 points, and that will bring you to 4. And you never know, 4 points for any team in our group that will more likely secure one of the best 8 spot as well, going into the knockout round. So let's see how the Senegalese team really bounce around and see how they will move in and navigate in that group as well. But talking about some of the big hitters around in CONMEBOL region where Lionel Messi started off really well in their group as well versus Algeria, hat-trick as well, his first hat-trick. I think Lionel Messi has scored just around 10 goals in the last couple of World Cup. Look, Messi played in the 2006, 2010, 2014. I've not seen a better compiled superstar team in the last 2 World Cup for Argentina, Russia, and Qatar. And even so, this one, none of those teams were better than the previous teams, that was in the World Cup for Argentina in previous times. But what is the difference, with that superstar team and these crop of players that Lionel Messi is playing with at this moment?
Yeah, I just think that this team is a lot more sacrifice their team effort. You get what I'm saying? I feel like if you look at like a player like Enzo Fernandez, DePaul, even Julian Alvarez, these players are superstar in their own right, superstar in their own players, in their own club team. But when they come to Argentina, They have sacrificed all of that and put that aside and work for the team. They work for Messi. You get what I'm saying? So I think that that's the difference between that team, the team of previous years, especially that team that went to the final against Germany. I think that's what happened to this team. This team, a lot of the players them put their pride aside. Look at Argentina. Look at Portugal. Portugal is having a massive ego problem right now with Ronaldo. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Bruno Fernandes, the Joao Cancelo. These players, do you think they like? I know this can be media and social media talk, but every time we look, these players look like they don't even want to fight for Ronaldo. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it might look like that outside, but that's how it look on the field. You get what these players might get along so good behind the
Very
scenes,
good behind the scene, yeah.
but when you're on the field, me I play football. Me I play football before, and if me not work hard enough, regardless
Yeah,
if me are
it's going to rub off on me at some
yeah,
given point. It's going to
regardless
rub
if
off
me
on me.
are
Yeah,
friend, it gonna look like yo, me I gonna start pre yo, pan the field,
yeah,
you know, man. I
yeah,
talk like in
yeah, yeah.
real
On the
life.
field, yeah,
You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
Some people need to understand, say yo, playing on the field and in real life is two different things. So what have this Argentina team did, they put their pride aside and work hard for Messi and work hard for the badge. And that's why Argentina have been successful. Look at Higuain. Higuain used to be so selfish when
yeah,
he was playing for Argentina. He used
yeah,
to miss so many chances.
yeah,
He used to take all the chances. He never used to look for Messi. You get what I'm saying? So if there's an example, that's why Argentina have been successful at this moment.
yeah. I mean, you sums it up right, and also I want to put this input in it as well, where the team is well more balanced. You know, it's well more organized and structured and manufactured out for play and suit Lionel Messi. You know, when you look at the defensive line, I think Facunda Medina, came in for Tagliafico. He's injured the left back for Argentina. Um, Molina was out on that right back side. Licho Martinez and also Cuti Romero was at the back. Martinez was in the goal. Look at that back line. None of those players really had a good season at their club. None of them really had a good spell at their club after the last campaign that was finished, 25-26. You get what I'm saying? We have seen Martinez played much better and keep in the tune stick for Aston Villa. And at this time, you're seeing a lot of rumors going around that he might potentially be sacrificed for free up some wage gap, get some transfer money in as well. Molina didn't really look as he was the player that Atletico Madrid bought to really to play at the highest level. Being sacrificed a lot, in and out of the Atletico Madrid team. Lisandro and also Romero. Romero coming into this World Cup, the back of was injured for Spurs. Martinez picked up a few knocks, there and there for Manchester United. So those players wasn't the best of their club. And then look in the midfield. McAllister, we have seen better McAllister for Liverpool, especially under the urgent club regime as well. And Enzo Fernandez, even at the last World Cup, Enzo was magnificent with Paradise in that Qatar World Cup. He wasn't having the best season at Chelsea, ups and down, red card, misbehaving, tactically, and the position awareness wasn't, very good for him as well in the Premier League. And you're like, how can the switch flick so quickly, amongst these players? Almada, he's not the star man for Atletico Madrid. Rodrigo de Paul coming over as well for Inter Miami. It's not the best of time for him in the MLS. Martinez struggled for Inter this season a bit with a fitness issue. But when you talk about all those big players coming into this, it's just that team structure. And I think what Lionel Scaloni built this team and as well just to be emotional, bring out that emotions out of you with the passion, being aggressive. You get what I'm saying? And this Argentina team, you see, even in the first 15 minutes, Lionel Messi was pressing. He was actually pressing the midfield in the first half. So look at when the team is out of possession. You see the back four, the midfield four, and then Martinez will drop in the pockets of the number 10 and to farm as if it's a 4-1-1. It's a 4-4-1, and Lionel Messi alone up in the top edge, just waiting for the ball to bounce. And then what happened when they win the ball? the whole team structure changed again. When Messi get on the ball, you see 4 or 5 players running breathlessly, in front of him just to give him the option and to push back, the opposition team so Lionel Messi can buy himself more time on the ball. But the goals,
Yeah.
though, I think that ball that Rodrigo de Paul, I think it was a free kick and it was a quick play, and for him to slit the Algerian midfield into pieces with that pass and just Messi and the half turn. If Messi can lose everything in his career, but it's that quick half turn movement, after that quick sprint, I think that will never leave Messi foot. So I just think you have to credit Messi, of helping his teammates as well, being a leader. See him coming off the bench, and Thiago Almada was offering him a seat, and Messi said, "No, I will sit on the ground. There's no seat." So sometimes these things you have to be the bigger man out in the public domain. So I just think that things like these is like little things. Ronaldo can be a bit arrogant, but he will love his teammate. He will wish them the best. I sure know he will. If he's supposed to give one of his teammates, a ball, in the box to allow them to score, he will do it as well. But it's just that little bit of over too confidence. I don't really want to use arrogance, but it's just overconfidence in his ability and knowing a man that score goals day in and day out for the Portuguese national team and also for his club teams. So I just think that's one of the big difference as well, where the players sacrifice everything for Lionel Messi in the public domain and behind the scene as well. And the structure and the balance of this team complement, because if you look at the two wingers, Almada and Rodrigo not going to beat anyone for pace down that right hand side. He will tuck in and help Enzo and McAllister in the midfield. But Almada is the one that's going to be the one that's going to carry the ball. And he's filling the role of what Di Maria would have been a player in this team if he, was currently playing for the Argentina team. So they have ball carriers, they have players that are going to stuck in, they have players that are going to find Lionel Messi, and they have warriors at the back. So I just think this team is just so good. And I couldn't believe that a lot of the big pundits having this Argentina team of not one of the favorite with a Lionel Messi in it after they are the defending champion. No, I just cannot,
Yeah.
right? I couldn't see it. And I'm not an Argentina fan, but you have to give respect to where it due as well. So looking at, I would have seen, Brazil making amends of themselves, beating 80. That was a very good performance, but not to have where I can praise the Brazilian team in the first half, because in the second half, they went back to basic. They went back to being the natural, lazy Brazil team of being, so inconsistent with their performance, the ball at their feet, no real creativity was in that second half. But what they did in the second half, I think it was good enough to really to get past this Asian team. I would have known that, listen, in the last time these two teams play, Brazil smashed them in the Copa America Centenario in a seven as well. And a few players that's played in that game back in 2016 was in this game as well, like the likes of Casemiro Marquinhos, Douglas Santos, Alisson as well. So what's your takes on the 5-star Samba Warriors?
Yeah, I think they came out to play especially in the first couple in the first half. You get what I'm saying? Rafinha could have a hat trick. You get what I'm saying? And he got himself injured, and Cunha, Vinicius have been very impressive. I think
Mhm.
Vinicius have answered all critics. You get what I'm saying? It's 2 goals in 2 games. You get what I'm saying? I think that second half it's kind of got very dull. I think that
Yeah,
80 have got you got to give 80 credit, because I think 80 have got so much better in the second half, and I just think that Brazil, they're gonna have to do better. I think they could have at least a 6 goal yesterday. You gotta when they play teams like these, you have to brush them aside and
yeah,
show people that you're serious. You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I think that they're gonna have to figure out who's gonna play the striker role, or
yeah,
who's gonna play where that Rafinha got injured, because I feel like I feel like Ancelotti need to give Hendrick some more time. I know he brought on Ryan, and at that point I was like, man, why you didn't bring on Hendrick? You get what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, why he so hard on the kid? You get what I'm saying? But Neymar was on the bench. I know that he was never gonna feature. But let's see. I'm still not convinced. I know you said that it was a better performance than what they did against Morocco, because Morocco was definitely a quality team. But I think Cunha is really gonna be that one. And also your friend. Thiago did not smell the pitch at all yesterday. You get what I'm saying? So
I knew that was
is
going to come with Thiago
but
is not going to get
but
on the pitch. I knew that was going to come.
is that a bad decision of
Nah,
calling up Thiago?
that's a good decision of
Bad decision
and
to
Papa
call up
Ancelotti.
Thiago over Joao Pedro now. You get
Yeah.
what I'm saying? That
It's
not
just the
looking
way
good at
how
all.
Brazil wants to play with that 4-4-2 of not having that real number nine, but people that can move around in the
But not
channels
even
and
but not even though. Me and you watching Brazil over the years, and Brazil striker have never been that striker though. We'll stay up there and wait for the ball to come to him. R9, Ronaldo was never like that. Ronaldo is a man will come deep, he take a touch,
yeah.
and plateau over the ball. Adriano, you name it. Even Fred
Joe,
way in a rate. Fred, Joe,
Wagner,
these
Love.
players,
Yeah, these
these
players
players
can do
are
that for real.
these players are players that can hold the outside and the wing side and plateau over the ball and look for front angles and go back. You get what I'm saying?
Joga Bonito,
Ja
yeah.
Pedro was that type of player that
Yeah.
suit this Brazil system. You get what I'm saying? He really suit but Thiago is a striker where him really gonna depend on him team to create a lot of chances for him.
Yeah.
Just like what Brentford did. And he will struggle in this Brazil team because Brazilian players don't play to a striker. They play this flair game. They knock and move. You get what I'm saying? So I think
Rotation
he
of
will.
possession and the pitch and all of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But they're gonna have to be really improved if they want to go anywhere further in this tournament.
Quick observation on these two teams. Colombia would have beat Uzbekistan in a 3-1. I see Uzbekistan got back into the game. Also, Uruguay drew with Saudi Arabia. They would play Cape Verde on Sunday. Quick observation, especially Uruguay. They have a very strong qualification campaign in the CONMEBOL rounds, right? What's your takes on those two teams? Then we'll move on to the European teams.
Go again.
No, I'm saying Colombia, that seen they beat Uzbekistan 3-1.
Yeah.
Uzbekistan kind of give them a bit of a threat in that game. I think they would equalize in that game as well. End up going on to win that game. Uruguay drew with Saudi Arabia, and the next game will be Cape Verde, right? How you summarize these two teams in their first game and what you expect them to do better moving on to the next game?
I think Colombia will have the Colombia will definitely be good. They have a very experienced team. And I like Diaz. Diaz a very good player. You get what I'm saying? And they still have James Rodriguez. You get what I'm saying in the number 10 position. But I think Colombia should be fine. Going into the last couple of games. I think definitely they have enough quality to make it into the next stage. But I'm kind of a little bit worried about Uruguay. We discussed about them saying that they don't have enough fire in them. Nunes have not been good at all.
Definitely
You get
poor,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? And then again in that game against Cape Verde, I'm not writing off Cape Verde at all. You get what I'm saying? I think they do have a chance. As I said, this tournament has teach us so much that you have to give every team a chance. You get what I'm saying? And I'm not convinced with that Uruguay team, but I think Cape Verde definitely going to give them some problem. And
Yeah.
if they can even get a draw out of that game and go into the last game against I think they play Uzbekistan in the last game and can get to the knockout stage, that would be such a good thing. But Colombia should be fine.
Cape Verde game would be Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
they definitely should get. They definitely have a chance there. They definitely.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm not writing them off. Look,
Yeah.
if they get anything in this Uruguay game, it will be a plus. But with a massive point from that Espana game, I think they will fancy them chance so much versus Saudi Arabia to get 3 points and to push them into the knockout round. As I said, 4 points in our group for any team, that will be more likely 1 foot. Have been one of the best top 8 team going into the back end of the group stage as well. You know what I'm saying? So I want to discuss, getting the matter of the European teams. Look, Germany in a 7-1 victory over Curacao. 6 goals. That goal difference as well with them. Sweden thumping Tunisia in a late game kickoff as well. Would have seen, Isak getting in amongst the scorers as well. Garen Potter getting a lot of praises. France, that game versus Senegal, that second half, magnificent second half. And I expect to see more, from the French boys as well, how much they can control the game. Austria, big win over Jordan in a team that's debuting in the tournament as well. So, some of the teams, and also England, a 4-2 victory as well, seeing Croatia coming back 2 times in the game, but England with that extra bit of quality coming off the bench of a Marcus Rashford did a change in the game for them. The Bukayo Saka really took the game to storm towards this Croatian team. But some of the big hitters in Europe, what's your takes on them?
Yeah, I think France definitely should be coming their growth. They play against they play who they play? They play Iraq, so that should definitely be
Yeah,
a game where they just flex their muscle. You get what I'm
yeah,
saying? And I think definitely England. I was very impressed of England. They start the game very slow. They start the game very slow, and they're able to the quality come. They look serious. You get what I'm
yeah,
saying? They look very serious because I feel like if this was previous tournament, I feel like this would have been a draw game or a loss for them. But the quality come through. Hurricane look like he's serious. Drew Bellingham look like he's serious. You get what I'm saying? I think they create so many chances in this game.
yeah.
But I'm really, really gonna want to see what they do
But
in this game.
the thing though with England, the first half show that you cannot be stagnant and
Yeah,
being slow in your approach in the first half of game, because the first half is very crucial in this tournament. You
yeah,
don't want to go into the second half and to burn that much energy and to playing, the catch up game. But
specific game.
the first half of England compared to the second half was totally a different game. The energy, the intensity, and the quick, precise passing, and the 1v1 and the substitutions that they have that can get off the bench. That's a key weapon for them. But that tells you that England team very much equipped to just play, all guns out. But my word is if you have a midfield of Luka Modric, Susic, and I think Bortonina, that player in that Croatian midfield, I think was Pasalic as well. If the Declan Rice, who people have praised so much, of highly, one of the best midfielder in the world, Anderson, who value is at over 130 million at this moment, should be good enough with a Jude Bellingham to control games. If
Yeah,
England going to operate like that, where as a team like Croatia, who have lost a bit of a cutting edge in the middle of the park, with the likes of Luka Modric, or dominant he can be, if those three players cannot get hold and a grip of the game, they will not go as far as many people think there is, because they have to win at least some of the midfield battles and get possession of the game. And let me say this, in the last 4 World Cups, Croatia have averaged more possession than England and
yeah.
more attacking possession in the final third more than England. That tells you something about this England team over the years.
And that Croatia team have struggled. Luka Modric struggled in that game. He just couldn't able to get on the ball to dominate like what he used to. So
Yeah,
I think maybe Mother Nature finally got caught up on him, or England kind of target him. You get what I'm saying? So I think that I know Kovacic have battled a lot of injuries over the last
yeah.
season.
He came
So I
on
think
as well.
Kovacic definitely need to start. You get what I'm saying? But I think they look good going forward, but they do need some fresh leg in that midfield. I know
Yeah,
Bozovic is not there anymore. You get what I'm saying? So I think that Kovac is gonna be after one to start for. I wouldn't start personally. I wouldn't start Modric because I feel like team's gonna target him. He just not. He doesn't quick on that turn anymore. So I think that they're definitely gonna have to fix up. But I still have them to go make it to the knockout stage. You get what
yeah.
I'm saying? I still think they can beat Ghana and beat
Panama. Panama is the
Panama.
next game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I still think they have enough quality to beat those two teams to make it.
Yeah, I just think that team, let me get back the team as well. I think it's a very, good teams coming up as well. Sushi is not the quickest, and Arena was playing behind the number 10. But that kid, Musa, was playing, I watched him a few times in the MLS for Dallas. Seems like him have a potential, but I don't know why he's over here in this region after playing MLS. But maybe sooner or later he will find himself in Europe back again. But I just think Stanisic, I think had a very good game and as a wing back in the game. I think Gabriel as well. it was a very decent game. I think he was one of the best as the back three as well. And I think it's an upcoming team. I just think they need to find a bit more replacement for Perisic moving forward and Luka Modric in that midfield. And you're wondering if Kovacic, can really find him feet. I want to see more, of the man that's playing for Torino, Vlasic. I think he had a better Serie A season. I think he can play one of those role behind Musa, the number 10. I know they're playing the two number 10 behind the 9. So I hope see Vlasic get more games in that role as well. You know what I'm saying? But I think if England can really, tighten up a bit more screws and to make some few adjustments, just
Yeah.
be brave. Be brave and get on the ball. Control the game. England cannot operate like this when you come up against the bigger teams. You have to at least take away spells, from them. If the Moroccan team can really go into game against Brazil and really dominate and show a bit of a character on the ball, England must show that as well versus teams ahead of them as well. One team I want to talk about. You talk about the AFC teams like Australia. Not much, we discuss around Australia, and I want to say this as well. With Australia, they record the last one, but they beat Turkey in the opening game. What's your think? Because that game versus us, that game versus the US men's national team yesterday was a very much show of them in the second half, and they kind of a one-sided game where they more likely like to hit teams, with their wing backs. Talk about Italiano and Bass on that left hand side. And I think when they brought on Aaron Kunda, the guy that scored versus Turkey, they took off Torre. They brought on Metcalf, a player that scored against Turkey. I was wondering why the two goal scorers that scored in the first game was sitting on the bench, and you could see that the game completely changed, for them. And look, they were a bit more brave, standing tall, in the middle of the park, and I think they match up very well with the US team. And I think that with a team, last World Cup cycle in Qatar, they were in a group with Tunisia, Denmark, and France, and they managed to finish on 6 points with the team that went to the final. So it tells me that coming up in our group with Denmark, beat them, Tunisia beat them, and lost in that game versus France, and then went on to play a very competitive game versus Argentina in the round of 16. This Australian team is on the go, and they're a bit of a surprising pack leading up into this knockout round as well. What's your takes on that US game?
Yeah, I think that Australia is. I was very surprised at why the coach benched the two players them that scored in that game. That was
Yeah.
a very bad bid. I don't know if he was trying to. I don't know if he was trying to hold out for a job, but that did not make any sense. I think that was a tactical disaster from the coach. But I think Australia should definitely be have enough to get to get through. But
Yeah.
that game against Paraguay, the last game against Paraguay, going to be
Paraguay.
massive.
Yeah,
You
it's
get
going
what
to
I'm
be
saying?
massive.
And
Yeah.
I think people might look on that game. Paraguay, Australia. I'm not watching that game. Trust me. Watch that game. That game gonna be very passive. Both fans is very passionate. I expect that stadium to be full with the Aussies fans and the Paraguay fans from one side to the next. So I think that game is gonna be very exciting. Whoever win that game should definitely clinch a spot in the round of 32. And
Yeah.
also, you get what I'm saying. So
But
I
no
just
Miguel
think
Almiron. Of
yeah, I think Miguel
That's
Amaran
stupid.
wasn't.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
he
stupid.
wasn't.
The
I mean,
rules are there. The rules laid out to us.
yeah, but I feel like Milner, even before he got red card, he wasn't really doing anything. He wasn't really offering anything to him. I know he's one
Yeah.
of the most influenced player and experienced player, but he really wasn't doing anything when he got. But I never knew about that rule until that rule got announced and that red card. I know that's the incident from video that happened in the Champions League
Mhm.
against
Yeah.
Valentina. You get what I'm saying from Benfica. So I never know about that, but I think Paraguay. I like that they look so much better defensively. Especially what they did against
It's
USA in
it's
the
a
first
decent
game.
team. I think it's a
You get
decent
what I'm
team.
saying? So I think they were very naive in the first game, but my God, man, they lack
I think a point in. I think this is maybe the one of the only group that 4 points will get it through.
yeah,
I think if that game draw, it will suit Australia and Paraguay, knowing that 4 points probably be enough to get you second place and one of those best third eight spot as well to move on to the round of 32. So, folks, that's it. Really appreciate it. Right, finish dead spot and the hour mark. Really appreciate it as well in the comment section. Big up to Conrad. Big up yourself, brother, and also big up Street. I know I forgot DNA. Big up yourself as well. Much love and respect, bro. And shout out Talawa. I know you're watching behind the scene, trying to do some tactical work. Letting me know what is going on, engineering work as well. So big up yourself as well in England. Football is coming home. I see the England fans trashing one of the best football fan boss out there, AFTV. Robbie, tell him that he will never win a European title. Yeah, man. So big up on yourself. We're there again. We hear back again sometime probably tomorrow talking about. So we're going to get prepared for that game that's coming up. Right ahead, where Netherlands and Sweden. That will be a massive game. That will be a massive game. I know we didn't really touch on the Netherlands team, but next time we will touch on them. They draw that first game as well in their group. Versus that Japan game, 2-2. So let's see how they will, operate versus the Swedish, Europeans versus Europeans, Garen Pata versus Ronald Koeman. Yes, Isak and Victor Jokeres coming up against Virgil van Dijk in that game. So let's see what the likes of Van Eyck, Van der Ven and Dumfries will do at the back versus a tough, stubborn Sweden team. So people, that is it with the podcast. Much love and respect from you guys.